Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. First of all, I would like to wish you all a very, very happy Pride Month. So today we are here with Poshshala to celebrate the beauty of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I am CS Divija Dave, founder director of Poshshala Private Limited, and I have my co-director Dr. Nivriti Mishra with me here. Thanks, Dr. Nivriti, for joining in, and my entire Poshshala team, Shilpa Bhatia, Deepal Chatwani, Mitiksha Ghasolia, Nikita Patil, Tanisha Setpal. Thank you everybody for being a part. Paresh sir, hello, welcome sir. I'm pinning you in. Welcome sir. Good afternoon. And I would also like to thank Wellin Assist for giving us the platform and helping us throughout the entire process. Thank you so much. Thanks Apurv, thanks Mahima for being a part of this essential process. So now let us start. So today we are here to celebrate the Pride Month, and we have our esteemed panelists with us who are going to take us through the diversity, equity, inclusion, actual implementation that can be done at organizations and how this can set your culture wide. Before that, I would like to give you a brief gist of what Pride Month is, what diversity, equity, and inclusion actually means, a little bit about Poshshala, and then we will start with our panel discussion with the esteemed panel. Let me just share my screen for your convenience. I hope I'm able to share my screen. Right? Okay, you are able to see my screen, right, Nivriti ji?
Yes, yes, we can. Yeah.
All right. So जब हम बात करते हैं प्राइड मंथ की, बहुत सारे लोगों को प्राइड का मतलब नहीं पता होता है. So through Poshshala, I would like to tell you this कि प्राइड एक्चुअली होता क्या है, प्राइड मंथ हम क्यों सेलिब्रेट करते हैं, and then we will come on to our actual topic. Together is Pride is the theme for 2024. Pride, Pride, stands for professionalism, respect, integrity, diversity, and excellence. Pride Month is a month-long celebration of works of LGBTQIA plus community, as well promotion of their social acceptance at workplaces. It's the time when leaders should now address underlying issues like fear, bullying, social acceptance, and a need for visible allyship as well as DE&I policies. For me, what I understand from celebrating Pride Month and the concept of DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion, it is not only limited to the community of LGBTQI+A, but it also extends to every human being who is trying to contribute in any way to the workforce. We have our esteemed panelists from different backgrounds. I will soon introduce you to them so that we can understand that, their views, their understanding on the concept of actual diversity is trying to bring in certain cultural changes in the organization and mindset changes in the people of the organization. Here are our esteemed panelists. I would like to read their brief introduction so that you get to know all of them very well. We have Venkatesh Kodukula with us. Hi, Venkatesh. I'll soon pin you in. Apurv, if you can just do that for me, if you're able to. Venkatesh identifies themselves as a non-binary individual and their preferred pronoun are they and them. They are serving as People and Culture Manager and Training Coordinator at eZone India, Chennai. They are extremely passionate about social development with over a decade of experience in advocating and empowering various underrepresented communities, especially in the sector of gender and sexual minorities. Welcome, Venkatesh. We have next on board with us Mr. Indranil Sen. Hi, Indranil. He is an alumni from IIM Calcutta and is an acclaimed industry veteran recognized for his extensive experience in global HR shared services operations for MSMEs and large organizations. He has been recognized as amongst top 100 great managers in India in the year 2023 by the Great Manager Institute for his passionate mentoring and leadership skills. He is also recognized for his excellence in mentoring by HR Bharat National HR Association. He is a certified HR excellence assessor by CII and a certified POSH and DEI professional. Welcome, Indranil. Next we have is Ms. Geeta Poduwal. Hello, Geeta ji. Geeta ji was a government audit officer for 21 years. She voluntarily retired from government services and acted in films. She came across a group of differently abled artists 7 years ago and stood by them, restoring their dignity and capability to be independent. Her NGO, called Drishya Shakti Trust, focuses on creating a change in the society by differently abled. She has also impacted more than 50,000 lives, including youth. We are absolutely honored to have you on board. And lastly, Mr. Paresh Pandarkame, welcome, sir. Paresh, sir, is a senior, seasoned professional in managing employee relationships for billion-dollar entities. He is an expert in Indian employment laws and crisis handling. He is an expert in implementing POSH and DE&I at various institutions and organizations. I am very honored to have all of you on board. Thank you so much for accepting my request to join in. And I would really like to thank all the participants who have showed this immense belief in Poshshala. And I'm sure that we'll be able to deliver value to you. So now you are our extended family, and in the forthcoming events also, you will definitely be a part of us. A little bit about Poshshala. My organization, Poshshala, focuses majorly on prevention of sexual harassment at workplaces and prevention of child sexual abuse. We are a very young organization established in the year 2021. And from 2021, we have been able to impact over 5,000 lives, which includes people from backgrounds of corporates, educational institutions, NGOs, and government departments. Our modules for teachers on Train the Trainer of POCSO Act are duly approved by the National Commission for Child Rights Protection. And we have been doing several initiatives with the government and with the police. So to just educate people and make them aware about this concept, or I should say the taboo subject of sexual abuse. And I would really request that if every one of you can contribute to such cause on your individual levels, आपके घर में भी अगर आप इस बात की जानकारी देते हैं, अपने बच्चों को सिखाते हैं, अपने घर में लोगों से बात करते हैं, organizations तक इन बातों को लेकर जाते हैं, so individually we will be able to make difference. Thank you. Our major focus is on helping people to fearlessly voice out their concerns. And it's not only gender specific to me and to our team. We understand sexual abuse is a gender neutral term. It can happen to anybody and everybody. It's all pervasive. So we need to take care of everybody who's associated to us or everybody who is reaching to the educational institutions. It's our primary right and duty to also protect not only males and females, but also create a safe and inclusive workplace environment for third genders at work. We also deal with psychological impact and mental well-being, because we understand that sexual abuse is a very, very holistic term. And when we talk about this subject, automatically its psychological impact, its mental well-being impact comes into the picture. That's why we have learned psychologists with us on board. Dr. Nivriti is one of the renowned psychologists with us. Lastly, we also take care of the self-defense mechanisms so that our presence of mind at that point of time helps us to defend ourselves. So we also have a team of self-defense trainers who are associated with us. Not taking much of your time, just giving you a brief of what our services are. So we are into POSH and POCSO compliances, and we do everything related to all of these. So I'm not going into very deep details of what we do and how we do. For that, we will maybe communicate separately. Let us now focus on our topic for today, that is diversity, equity, and inclusion, that is pride at workplace. I'm just trying to set a tone for the participants, for the viewers, so that we can clearly understand the difference between three terms, and then we will go on to our panel discussion. Diversity basically means who is representing your organization, who is representing your workforce. It can be people from diverse backgrounds on the basis of their gender, age, ethnicity, sexuality, physical ability, and beyond. And today in our esteemed panel, we have people who are representing various backgrounds to ensure that we are getting or creating a diversified environment for our people. Geeta ji deals with people who are specially abled. So she has her core in helping differently able people to be a part of the workforce. Indranil, we have from the background who understands the concept of DE&I and who has been helping companies to implement the processes. Paresh sir again comes from the corporate background where he has the understanding of how this is going to impact the culture of the organization. And lastly, we also have Venkatesh who represents the LGBTQI plus a community, and he has worked on the ground level to make sure that people are making everybody included in their workforce. Equity refers to the fair treatment of all people so that the norms and practices and policies ensure that everyone is treated equally with their unique circumstances. We usually confuse between equity and equality. Equality is giving everybody the fair chance to represent themselves, but equity is a level beyond that. Equity is something giving a fair treatment to all so that even the norms, policies, and practices cannot be altered in their unique circumstances. So basically here we are respecting the dignity of the person, understanding from where he is coming, from what background he is coming, from what circumstance he is coming, and then trying to understand the perspective and making our decisions. And lastly, inclusion. Inclusion refers to the creation of such workplace environment which enables everyone to make meaningful contributions and where the workforce feels that they can voice out their concerns or they are being heard. So this is what the basic difference between three concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion is. Now, without wasting much time, I would like to take this entire process ahead, and I'll now start our panel discussion. Yeah. So we have all our panelists here. Thank you so much for joining in. So let us now start with our first question. And my first question goes to Indranil. Hi, Indranil. So my question to you is, as they say that variety is a spice of life, if diversity is another word for variety, how can it enhance the workplace environment? In your experience, how this variety has helped organizations, how this diversity, cultural diversity has helped organizations to grow? If you could just throw some light on that.
Sure. Thank you, Divya, for the question, and thank you for the opportunity. Hello to the viewers and the panelists. So I love the question, Divya, and the thought it provokes in my mind. When you look around, you realize that Mother Nature has both created and accommodated diversity on her lap without affiliations. Affiliations have been created by us to protect and promote our inherent beliefs and insecurities fostered with time. Are we not striving? I have a question. So, are we not striving for diversity in our lives to satisfy each of our five senses? Are we content eating the same food every day? No. We need variety to stay healthy. Not one food item contains all the nutrients that our body needs. Similarly, a workforce cannot remain healthy if it does not embrace diversity. Diversity at workplace is the capability, to your question, in terms of how this can be applied and benefited by an organization. So diversity at workplace is the capability of an organization to apply the qualities and reap the benefits of embracing this variety from society. Many organizations still view inclusion of diversity at workplace with a very myopic view, like associating it with CSR, with some other temporary periodic initiatives, and so on. And this is also because they have not been able to measure and balance the risks and benefits of diversity. Today, if you look around, consumerism is the key for a workplace to sustain. To meet the diverse needs of their consumers, workplaces need to embrace diversity with equity and inclusion within their organizational framework to stay relevant and grow.
Right, absolutely. I think you are bang on to the point, because variety, as they say, is the spice of life. आप कहीं पर भी variety देखना चाहेंगे तो सबसे ज़्यादा आपको organizations में देखने की ज़रूरत है. Because whenever you are talking about variety in life, of course, we all are getting bored very easily, right? So हम काफी ज्यादा variety अपनी life में देखते हैं, but when we talk about workspaces, work environment, there we restrict a little bit to ourselves, and we tend to just make that mindset where we are only including people whom we want. So probably through this discussion we'll be able to understand that how the people either from the LGBTQI plus a community, or people coming from a differently abled background, or for that matter these days even women workforce, I would just like to extend that to females also, because बहुत सारे boards पर independent woman director की जरूरत होती है, लेकिन हम उनको सिर्फ compliance purpose से रखते हैं, right? We do not actually see the caliber, we do not actually see the ability of that woman to make a difference. रादर चलिए हमारे घर के हैं तो हम उनको बोर्ड पर बिठा लेते हैं, या फिर अगर शक्ल सुंदर है तो एक बार वो भी हम आजमा लेते हैं. सो इस तरह की चीजें बहुत देखने के लिए मिलती है. That's why it's very important for all of us to understand the actual concept of from where diversity is coming, how we can create that inclusive workplace. Thank you, Indraneel. Thank you so much. Now my next question goes to Geeta ji. Geeta ji, if Geeta ji, you are making tireless efforts to bring specially able people in the forefront. In your experience, how does organizations react to this? And are they open to engage differently able people for any roles? If yes, if you could just share a few examples and instances in your experience.
Thank you so much, Divija. It's such a pleasure to be here. And also, I'm so happy to meet such distinguished people on the panel as well. This is a very good opportunity to meet them and hear them also. And of course, thank you to all the people who are attending and who are listening to this. So I run actually two organizations. So one is Drishya and second is Drishya Shakti Trust. So Drishya, it's all about what a differently abled person can do for the society. Okay, for education institutions or for corporates or any organization. And Drishya Shakti Trust, which is an NGO, it's about what we can do for the differently abled. Okay, so now this is the two sections. That is what a differently able can do for the society and what we can do for the differently able. So because both the spheres are covered, that's the reason why I'm able to share some meaningful information and experiences over here, since I have seen both. And also additionally, apart from my experience, we have a very rich panel of differently abled achievers who are working in various organizations. So I, for this particular webinar, also am drawing their experiences also, so that we can actually make a very meaningful contribution over here. So, Divija, your question, I'm dividing it into two parts. That is, what is the positive change that is being seen and what are the challenges that is being seen? Okay. Now, when I talk about positive, the first thing, see, earlier when we talked about DEI, including differently abled, it is always like, not so seriously taken. It was, if I say simply, it was like a fashion statement, So fashion is not everyone's cup of tea. It was a fashion statement. But now it has become a movement. Okay. And when anything becomes a movement, it is taken seriously and there is a positive change. So that is what is happening now. It's become a movement. So policies are being made and focus is being put on the talent rather than the disability. Okay, so this is something which is a very good change that is being seen in our experience also. Second thing is that in the organizations, effort is being made to identify in which roles can the differently able fit in. Okay, this was not not the case earlier. Earlier, okay, policy banaya hai, you have to include differently, but kahan fit kare? Okay, that was the question. So now what is happening is that conscious action is being taken to identify where they can be fit in. There are policies existing. So this is a very beautiful change. Third thing, one of my differently abled achiever who's working in a very prestigious company, he was sharing with me that there's something very interesting happening now, that differently abled are being taken as interns. Okay, so what happens for 3 months, for 6 months, or on project mode, when they're taken on internship, there is a win-win situation. That is, the differently able gets to know the organization better, and the whether the organization is good, whether it is inclusive, etc., etc. And for the organization, it is an opportunity to understand the differently abled intern better. And that way, what happens? Aage chalke, they can absorb this intern into the organization. They get enough time to make the necessary changes, etc., and where they can actually fit in. So this is something which is very beautiful that is happening. Fourthly, what is happening is that the companies are now approaching us. Earlier it was not the case. Earlier, like they know they need to do something about it, but they don't know what to do, who to approach. So now we're approaching NGOs for differently abled talent. So even our NGO, we had a couple of organizations who have approached us, mainly from the hospitality industry. So they come to us and they ask us for differently abled talent, which will suit their organization. So this is again a very positive change that is happening. And lastly, who does not want a good brand image? So when you project yourself as an inclusive organization, what happens is that it improves your brand value. What is interesting, Divija? Today the employees are not just looking about salary. They are also trying to find out that which place is more inclusive, where there is flexibility, what is a good culture in the organization. So that way, what happens when the company is inclusive, is very receptive to different kinds of people, then what happens? The people would like to work in that kind of organization. So this is as far as positive is concerned. I'll quickly tell you what are the challenges that we have observed. I told you about the policy making, right? Now, this also becomes a challenge. Very interestingly, what happens is that there are policies in place, but some of the organizations, in our experience, we have experienced it ourselves. It is more of a checkbox tick. Okay. So there is this policy, you have to appoint a differently abled, you have to put a tick mark, otherwise you will be asked questions. So then what happens? In a hurry, they hire someone. So I had this experience wherein a major brand approached us, and I don't want to take names and all, but they approached us and they said, "Humko ye chahiye." So we told them, so this is a differently able person. She cleared all the levels of interviews, but we told them that allow us to be associated at least for 3 months. We'll give a hand holding, because you do not know what is the nature of disability. We will be able to help. We will be able to guide. The company refused. Okay. So what happened? A month later, they faced a major challenge because this girl, a simple thing called washroom. Okay. So what happens is that we all are used to a particular form of washroom, which is the Western toilet. Okay, you use hand flush and all those things. Poor thing, this girl encountered there a different type of a washroom, and problems was created. And you won't believe it, the next day she was not allowed to enter the premises. She was made to stand outside the gate. So what happens? This breaks them inside, this breaks them inside. So this is a major challenge that is observed. And second is the bias that is there in the minds of the people, So what happens? HR appoint kar leta hai differently abled ko. Lekin kya hota hai? The operation is not prepared. Okay. कौन इनको manage करेगा? इनकी competence है कि नहीं? या फिर they won't be able to meet the targets. They won't be able to meet the deadlines. Trust factor is not there. Okay, only policy is there, but trust factor is not there. Mindset change is not there. So then what happens? That again becomes a clash. Low salaries, they are not paid equally. And then another important thing is social exclusion. Suppose a hearing and speech impaired person is employed. How many people in this audience know sign language? Suppose instead of me standing and talking to you, there is a hearing and speech impaired person and talking in sign language. So even a simple action like I do like this, how many people know what is this? Okay, so only those people will be able to talk to that person who knows sign language. So they are not included, nobody understands them, they do not know what to do about it. So there is social exclusion. And lastly, and most important and the most unique thing is that, see, when you meet a differently abled person or an employee, there are two strategies. Either you are very directional, you speak in a very stern way, or you're too soft. You're too soft, you're too pampering, or you're too afraid कि कहीं मैंने कुछ गलत बोल दिया तो.
Right.
So these are the two things that they resort to. Now both these things are against inclusion. Both these things are against it. So what this again becomes a challenge, and this happens because people are not able to understand how to deal with a differently able person. Okay, so in our experience, Divija, these are the positives. There are positives and there are also challenges.
Correct, correct. Geeta ji, I mean, to the point you have answered this, because what I also understand that एक DEI को जिस तरह का concept माना गया है, that is majorly of a checkbox kind of a thing, because people, you know, just come across it when they are in need of compliance. चलिए, आज हमारा ये audit है, we need to make the compliances in time. आज हमें ये करना है, we need to show that we are diverse, we are inclusive, we are equitable to everybody. लेकिन actually उस culture को background में कोई prepare नहीं कर पाता है. We onboard people from different communities, from different various backgrounds, लेकिन उनके साथ डील करने के लिए आपको करंट एम्प्लॉइज को, माइंडसेट को, मैनेजमेंट को जिस तरह से ट्रेन करना है, that is where we are lacking. And probably you are the panel experts who are working on the ground level to actually implement that entire concept and spirit. बिकॉज हम लेटर में तो कर ही रहे हैं, हम चेक द बॉक्स तो कर ही रहे हैं, लेकिन उसकी स्पिरिट, उसकी आत्मा को इम्प्लीमेंट करना इज समथिंग विच इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, वेयर द गैप लाइज, राइट? Thank you so much. So now my next question goes to Paresh sir. Paresh sir, in your experience, how has the workforce culture evolved? And do you really see diversity, equity, and inclusion taking shape as a concept in boardrooms? Could you please state some examples if you know about it? So you are on mute.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Divya, for including me in the panel, because I had been working in employee relations for more than last 30 years and seen a movement from the old rigid mindset to a new regime coming in where people are being hired. And there are distinct advantages for the company, because companies hire or do D&I for two objectives. One is, it is the compliance under the law you are supposed to do, or in the boardroom you want to say that I have X number of percentage of people and all that. The second one is the advantages which it gives on various things. I don't want to name an organization, but it is into cash logistics, and they have a lot of shortages which were coming from their vault. They had a currency chest, which was manned by men only. They slowly and steadily shifted it to all women chest, where the currency is counted in 100,000 crores in a month, and the shortages were much lesser. There was a discipline, and when the audits used to happen, the entire risk for the company got mitigated by simply hiring women. So that was one example where it contributes to your bottom line also. Right. Because at the board, somebody will give it a buyout only and only when they see some kind of direct impact on the bottom line. Correct. Either by mitigating risk. I will give you another example. I can quote the name of the company also. It is Godrej Chemicals, which is one of my clients. They have decided that they shifted their plant from Vikhroli, which is a distant suburb of Mumbai, to Ambernath. And in Vikhroli, they had a lot of union trouble. It was all men company, hazardous process, this, that. So when they moved to Vikhroli, they decided that we will hire the plant operators and everybody else. So we did a proper safety audit first. Then we consulted doctors, especially gynacs. Will it have any impact on women during the special period which they go through? We constructed different toilets for them. Then for 3 months, we sensitized the entire workforce, right from the security first person who allows you to enter inside to the factory manager. And they had done an excellent job of receiving them, and slowly and steadily now they are aiming that the entire plant will be run by all women. There is an example, I had heard about it. There is a electric bus company which runs entire women crew depot in and around Delhi, because Delhi is a tough regime. for women to work.
Yes.
Forget the others coming into the LGBTQI people coming and working, because what happens is that if you talk about India, it is a country within country.
Yeah.
If you go to South, the level of acceptance is slowly and steadily coming up. No offense meant to anybody, but that's the reality of life. If you go to West Bengal, it is different. If you come to Maharashtra, Gujarat, Goa, or for that matter, Kerala, Goa is an excellent example where half of the shops or restaurants are run by women, because the men prefer to be sushegat, what we called in there, like they will have 2 drinks in the morning, 2 in the evening, and the day is over. So all those advantages can be derived by hiring women. If we highlight that, then the buyout is better at the board level.
Right.
So as a result, when you project this differently, like as Geetaji mentioned that it is more a tick box, and earlier she used to go to various organizations that please take people from us. Now it is different. People are taking, because they are seeing, like recently, I don't know how many of you travel to Delhi airport and other airports where Indigo got certain people who can't speak or hear. They're specially able, but they help you for your check-in, and there is hardly any queue because those guys are very fast.
Yeah.
They carry a board on them that I'm specially able, and they use sign languages which anybody can easily understand. And they have certain boards in their hand. Show me your Aadhaar. Your boarding is ready. Your weight is, bag weight is more. So all those things, it can really help them a lot. So it is basically a question how the organization receives it, and what is the bottom line, how it will get affected. Then only there is a buyout. Because simply tick box can happen, you hire people, then what happens, where Geetaji said that the girl has to wait outside. So my personal experience is that it is taking a shape and size, and slowly and steadily it will go to all the organizations, especially with the new government coming in and the government's focus of giving 33% reservation to women and all that will really bring in a lot of, in fact, people are talking about certain reservations for LGBTQI also.
Yes.
So the day is not far off when there will be reservations specially meant for them.
Right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And just adding on to what sir said, sir specifically talk about women workforce being a part, and they are now the drivers of the entire organization. So on the other hand, if we just take few examples from Bombay and Pan India, there are cafes, there are places which are solely run by the transgenders, which are run by the people who are specially able. So this gives us motivation. This gives organizations a sense of understanding that these are the people who are now the future, who are forming a very, very major part of the workforce and are helping our country to grow in several other aspects. So thanks, Paresh, sir. Now my question goes to Venkatesh. Hi, Venkatesh.
Hi, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Sorry,
thank you so much.
Glitches. I couldn't be a part of the initial cut to 3 minutes.
No problem. Thank you so much for joining in. Okay, Venkatesh. Now, could you please highlight some strategies that can be implemented real time to ensure inclusive workplace environment of people? Because you have been working on the ground level and you have been affecting people throughout. So in your experience, if you could just highlight few points.
Perfect. First of all, I will wish all of you a very happy Pride Month. Good to see all beautiful faces and all the esteemed panelists who has joined and shared their insights and about in different, and I'm sure all of you hold an expertise in different domains. So yes, since I identify myself as one from the LGBTQI plus community and an open and out person for the last 15, 16 years, and have been actively working for the community. I think I will just go with a couple of basic things which I feel through activism journey, which one an individual, and this is not again restricted to workplace, again it's most of the places, education institutions, everywhere, where one faces through. When we say that, let me go with the challenges first. I think coming to the strategy more, I will go with the challenges faced by the community. I think when we want to talk about inclusive workspace, we have to make sure the challenges what they face. One is non-inclusive pronouns, or the misgendering on the basis of just on the basis of appearance. That is one. Second, not having gender neutral restrooms. Not everywhere you have gender neutral restrooms. Second. Third is healthcare. A lot of policies, we say we work for the community. I think I would agree. I would second with Geeta ji, where she said a lot of policies are implemented, are passed, judgments are passed, but the real-time implementation is still a big fight and struggle for the community to achieve. We have to fight a lot for that, and I think, and it's an everyday thing. Today I'm sitting here, but still I have to keep fighting for my basic rights, which I shouldn't be as a citizen. If I say if it's a democratic country, I lack those basic rights. Healthcare facilities, when we talk about organizations not having gender neutral or for same-sex couples, same-sex individuals, healthcare facilities. Then when you talk about, I think it's more of a lot of discrimination and harassment faced. I think the microaggression, there's a lot of loss of repercussion where there's a fear of losing of jobs just because of your sexuality. And I think there's a lot of things. These are basic things when I'm saying, for example, just on the basis of appearance, I wouldn't be preferred to, because it's very obvious that on the basis of my appearance, people will call me sir or he, him. But I am a person who wouldn't prefer any of the taglines or go with any of the pronouns of he, him. I prefer to be gender neutral. I go with they and them, or I would prefer just to be addressed by name just, and irrespective of the hierarchy or whatever it is. So I think these are basic things. That is just on the basis. So the challenges, I think, and these challenges, when you keep on mocking, directly, indirectly, whatever way it is, I think a person of the community would always feel suppressed, and there would be a lack of, they would fear to express themselves or talk about themselves, because there's a lot of involvement. Since this workshop is more of into workplace thing, people might fear that if my sexuality, if someone knows what will happen, how they will react, my promotion might get stopped, I might be fired, I might have different things. I think it's a lot of reasons, just pointing out a couple of them. Today, for me, if there's a restroom which is quote unquote again showing the taglines of male and female, where do I go? I don't identify myself as a male, I don't identify myself as a female. But what I have bound to go to washrooms, restrooms, which is quote unquote assigned for the male, because if I enter a washroom which is assigned for the female, they might not be comfortable. But again, I am suppressing myself just to go with the quote unquote societal norms. That's what I am going through. I think these are basic challenges. I think to work on these challenges, what organizations, I think the strategies which an organization, a workplace should implement is always having a very visible commitment from the leadership. I think because see, an organization always has a leadership team, and it's not just a one man game or one woman game or one person. I would say not with gender, but one person's effort. It's a leadership team. It's a team where I think there should be a visible commitment from the leadership towards the community, having public support, talking about inclusive policies, having policies which is common for if there is someone who's a trans person, or if a person, when there's a healthcare policy, which you always see it's restricted to spouse. When it's spouse, it is always restricted to the opposite gender. But I have a partner who is male, and I want the policy to be implemented by my partner as well. Yes, quote unquote, again, it's a different way, but again, you have to implement. Might be that organization, for example, quote unquote, ABC is the health insurance company. They might not allow my partner to be same-sex person because for them, spouses the opposite gender. I understand. But what as an organization I would take? Would I be giving my employee's partner a separate policy, or how it is? I think these are all to be worked on. It's a lot of things I think we all need to focus and work on. I think having inclusive policy, having inclusive languages. When I talk about inclusive languages, adding of pronouns in your emails when you write. I always prefer writing my emails with my name saying they, them, so that I'm misgendered or misaddressed. Of course, I understand there might be instances people go through, because I think it's a lot of time. We also take time and adapt ourselves to one certain habit. So changes take time. I would certainly appreciate that. But again, after knowing misaddressing, misgendering is something not appreciated. So I think using of pronouns in your mails. And I think in today's 2024, it's very important where we don't use sir and madam. I think it's very backdated. You can always address irrespective of hierarchy. I would always say, I can say Geeta ji instead of Geeta ma'am. I can say Paresh ji or Paresh ma'am. Because I think if you want to give respect, you can say ji. It's a very, I think we live in a very diverse country with a beautiful language, multiple languages. And I think we can actually incorporate a lot of things to pay respect, just not with sir and madam. There is a lot of options. I think we all can do that. I think in that way, when you have inclusive language, what happens? A person's on the basis of appearance or what they're wearing, what they're looking is not has to be put. Again, I think I missed adding is when I was just rethinking now is when challenges is workplace dress code. What dress code do I adhere to? I don't fall in male. I don't want to wear a formal shirt and pant, or neither want to wear a salwar and sari. So I understand. Of course, every organization should have a workplace ethics, but in terms of me, quote unquote, for example, I'm wearing a kurta. So I'm wearing a kurta, you could see, and jeans. So it's basically, you have to understand. So the inclusive, that person doesn't feel bound to the quote unquote, the dress code, what are they wearing to at their workplace. So I think these are also one of the challenges which people face, that what dress should I wear? What should I have to, okay, I am in this, so I have to wear a shirt and pant, but I don't feel comfortable, or neither I feel comfortable in a sari. So talking and understanding what is mutually comfortable and mutually aligning, we should always work on. Then having, from the leadership, and it's very important to have diversity training in the workshops, diversity training workshops, because not every person, I think what I think Pareshji said, that the your journey begins the moment you enter the main gate where you have the security, the support staffs, right? So if I am stopped from my, if I'm wearing a sari and going, and if the support staff is saying, the discrimination starts there. Going to the 7th floor and entering the office is a major other struggle. My struggle begins from the premises of my workplace. So that I need to be sure that it's comfortable. So having training workshops, because we can't expect everyone is equal or everyone would have a knowledge of it. What if my generation crowd, quote unquote, who has the privilege of certain basic media platforms, still they are not sensitized, what can I expect from a support staff? But I might sure it can be vice versa. They can be much more sensitized than what I can expect from my colleagues. So I think these are very important things. So having training so that people are aware of, I think it's basic training which we should always, as an organization, should always go for. Having support networks. Then when you have support networks, you collaborate with non-profit organizations, collaborate with people who has an expertise, so that you might not hold the expertise. And I appreciate that organizations are taking efforts, but not you might be holding an expertise. So you can support by helping them connect. Today, there is a lot of mental health challenges faced by the community members. So once they have to process, once they need some help, so you have to have queer-friendly counselors. I think it's always, because we all go through stress in our daily lives, how privileged we are, there are stress, and we need to acknowledge mental health issues. I think that's one of the major issues. We always say pagal. What is pagal? It's okay. We all go through mental health issues, and that needs to be addressed, and it's always respected, and it's not on the basis of any gender. Any person can go through, and we should also have queer-friendly healthcare professionals who can help us with. Then I think the next spoke about inclusive benefits, policies. When I take up benefits, there can be people today, if I want to adopt someone, of course, again, the laws, something, but for example, if I want to adopt someone or having my baby, so parental leave. So all I think the policies are a long process, not just only because of healthcare, but there are a lot of policies. Today, if I want to go through a sex reassignment surgery, SRS, does my organization give a leave for that? So I need to work on it. I think these are all things I think we have to all work on. Then talking about, I think, representation, visibility and representation plays a major step, I believe, because I think now we find a lot of support groups within organizations. So there can be employee resource groups, there can be ERGs where we can have people of the community, the representation. If someone who is open and out, if you're organizing, for example, if I am a leader, I'm in a senior level, I'm a person from the ERG where I'm open and out, at least, see, I don't have to tell them openly, but anyone from the team, if they are facing any issue, they always have an option to reach out to me themselves. So the visibility and representing and being vocal. And being vocal is not, again, I think that's a very, I think I put it out very bluntly to everyone. I think I spoke with Divija also. This is not restricting to Pride Month. Anything, any offer, I think all of our journeys, I think child sexual abuse is not only restricting to females. It can be male, female, any gender person. When it's PWD, it's not just only that you have particular dedicated days where you're doing workshop. Yes, I always acknowledge and respect people doing in Pride Month also, because it's a way where you can start a dialogue. Many of us come from different backgrounds where we don't have such discussion, and we all come from a generation where we have always been taught of this quote unquote two gender, ladka ladki ke sath shadi karega, ladki ladka ke sath shadi karega. There's nothing more. So coming to that, I think having a discussion here is I think important today. We all are here, and it's always a process of learning and unlearning, right? We all learn from each other. That's how we believe. I think it's where we can go through it. We always learn. I'm happy to learn from Geeta ji. I'm happy to learn from Paresh ji. And it's vice versa. I think learning is a process. Until our last breath, we all keep learning and sharing the positivity. So I think in all this spring, then when you have, have inclusive culture building, you have community engagements, show your representation as an organization, not just through only particular months of celebration, but throughout, showing that representation with you are there. I think these representation comes not only again through one certain set of platforms, but it has to be very vocal and open, where today I go and join any organization, I feel that I am comfortable. I feel that I think when I am mentally, it's not only about financial stability always, it's about mental, physical, financial, everything I should be sort of aligning, and then I can think of a workplace which I feel is safe, right? The moment when you go home at the night, or the place wherever you go, I don't say home, but where you want to go is, that's a safe space where you want to. If you don't feel safe at your home, or if you don't feel safe with someone, would you be hanging out with them? No, you wouldn't, right? I think it's just basic thing. I think where we feel safe, where we would be. But yes, again, I understand, I acknowledge people of the community has been going through a lot. I think these discussions come only from June 1 to 30. And I think since Paresh ji has mentioned Indigo, I wouldn't have named it, but since he has mentioned, I feel literally highly disappointed with such airlines where they talk about, of course, we are working with diverse set of people. Of course, I acknowledge, I respect what you have been doing. But during the June Pride Month, you are having inclusive Pride celebrations, in-flight Pride magazines. But yes, if you are flying Indigo, what is the announcement? Dear ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome on board Indigo Airlines Flight 6231 to Calcutta. Where do I fall then? I don't fall in ladies, I don't fall in gents, I don't fall in boys, I don't fall in girls. Where do I go? You don't have gender neutral salutation. And when I am actively asking them and putting them on social media, asking, you call me personally and ask me that, please, we can't acknowledge this and comment on this on social media, and you are celebrating. Of course, you are celebrating. When you commit that you are employee friendly, but you're not customer friendly. There's a difference. When you are claiming that you are employee and customer friendly, I would be the first person to stand on it and say, no, you are not. You might take time, I acknowledge it, but don't openly say that you are customer friendly. I am bound to book tickets with the salutation of Mr. just because of quote unquote of my gender identity. But when you travel Air Asia, when you travel Vistara, you see there is an option of MX salutation, which is a gender neutral salutation one can go through. I think when we talk about, again, this is of what I'm talking is basic as a person who I from the community. But we never had discussions about people who are from the community and people who are PWD. So it's basically a minority of the minority, quote unquote. I don't talk about it. I don't like the word minority, but yes, the moment I have to represent, I have to say it. You belong from one sort of limitation, and then again you are okay. You are special. You are sort of visually impaired, and you are again gay. This is a challenge for a person to come across, and I think it's very important in today's day standing. And we all as youth, I always consider everyone to be leaders. If you want to bring a change, please be the change. Irrespective of your workplace, irrespective of your home, anywhere you go through, I think we all can do. We might not be able to do in a very level what we are wanting. Of course, organizations work with different hierarchy, right? So when it comes to that, there might be certain things, but it's always there. In my organization, this organization which I am presently working, they never had an open person from the community, but I had been here. They were not. I think it's always a process of learning where they're learning. We have pride flags. It's a step. I think it will take. I can't expect joining in 3 months and bringing every change in the process, right? When past, if you see simple, the 2014 judgment says transgenders were given third gender recognition. Again, I have a problem with third gender. Then who is first gender and who is second gender? It's so basically that's a matter of debate. So let me not get into it. But yes, if the recognition has been given, standing 10 years later, 2024, till date, there are places where you don't have trans people or others category. For example, I recently went to I'm a South Indian Telugu, so I went to a pilgrimage in Tirupati, where till date, if you go and have to buy darshan tickets in Tirupati, you have to buy with the gender identity of male and female.
Yeah.
So I think these basic things, we all should be very particular and we should always keep raising our voices. And workplace, yes, it's a place where you can't just because financially there are sort of things, and there are a lot of many fine people of the community. There are a lot of physical approaches or quote unquote benefits, or I think they would just say favors for certain. You do this, it's basic barter system. You give this, I give that. I think these, then having a mechanism of in ICC, when you have ICC, it's always important. Again, ICC as per law says it has to be led by a woman, it has to have this number of women. But yes, if you are inclusive, if you are being inclusive, so you have to have someone who is very queer friendly. Today, if I face a problem, I'm very honest, I might not be a person who would be very comfortable understanding what a woman writes. When women say, I might feel it, but I might not understand it because my shoes are not in that. When I place my shoe, I will understand. So basically, if I want to go and share it with Geeta ji, she might understand, but that she might acknowledge it, but understanding for her wouldn't be that much unless she is having an exposure with that. So I think having someone from the community in ICC committees always welcome. If not, at least someone very queer friendly, so that you have a safety mechanism of reporting. Yes, I think I was allocated 10 minutes, but yeah, I went through long.
No,
No,
it was super hearing you, because I think I was supposed to ask you two questions, but आपने एक ही में दोनों को beautifully cover कर लिया.
Because I think it's not the strategies which comes forth, it's more the challenges which comes forth, and then we should address the strategies. Yes.
Correct. Very beautifully you describe कि challenges क्या हो सकते हैं, उसके साथ आपने solutions भी दे दिए. तो दोनों मेरे questions interlinked थे, and I think you have connected very well to the audience, because you rightly said, जो भी है हमें culture set करना है, tone from the top set करना है. We do have strategies, we have policies, we have everything in place, but that dissemination in the right manner is something where we are lacking. And that's what we now want to work on. Probably through our panelists, we'll get to know how we are supposed to do all of these things. And बाकी लोगों को भी अब समझ में आने लगेगा कि DE&I सिर्फ concept नहीं है, inclusiveness एक concept नहीं है, उसको actual implementation की बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है. Thank you so much, Venkatesh. Now quickly coming on to my next question, that is for Indraneel. Indraneel, what benefits can organizations realize by introducing DE&I at workplace?
Thanks, Divija. So another great question, and I think I love the panel in terms of the insights, in terms of the experience that's coming out for everyone, including myself. So many takeaways, so many learnings, so many experiences. Now, again, I'll respond to your question with a counter question. So, given the forum that we have here today, can anyone imagine an organization that does not embrace diversity to be successful today? So, I'll give you three benefits that come top of my mind for an organization that embraces diversity. So, carrying forward the examples that we were speaking of, Pareshji was speaking of an all-male organization and conversions of to all-female organizations as well. So, can we imagine an organization that is completely 100% gender agnostic or age agnostic? Now, if you can think of, picturize such an organization, the pertinent question that will come to mind is, would such a workplace be able to offer quality products or services that appeal to a larger consumer base? Likely not, because they would not be able to decipher the psyche of their consumers across the spectrum of the societal diversity. Now, to stay relevant to consumers, organizations need to embrace diversity. So that is benefit number one. Next, estimate the risks. Would you be comfortable working with just one gender group or with one supplier partner? Again, carrying forward the example Pareshji said, an all-male chest resulted in discrepancies and in other fatal acts that caused a bottom line impact to an organization. Now, if you see the risk, of having just one business model, you are restricting as an organization to the kind of growth you could have to your top line and the value to your bottom line. You need to add diversity to your business models. You need to add diversity to your supplier partners. Now, if you look at, let's say, our food delivery partners like Swiggy and Zomato, you'd see they've transformed over the years. And now you can see short distance delivery happening on bicycles. Now, this reduces costs and increases efficiencies often, because when you have heavy traffic, peak time zones, a short distance delivery through a bicycle happens with more efficiency than anything else. So an organization, by virtue of adopting DEI, is also adopting multiple diverse business models to mitigate their risk by having a diverse and a blended talent group. So that's benefit number 2. Consumerism benefit number 1, risk mitigation benefit number 2. Now we come to the social benefit, and something that I heard everyone in the panel talk about is, if an organization today in our country does not embrace DEI, it is not practically adding value to the upliftment of the society. If the society does not grow equally, then an organization stands to lose potential loss of an increased consumer base, loss by virtue of lower economies of scale because they are not able to leverage it equally across the spectrum. That results in higher costs and lower ability of risk diversification. So none of these would be desirable. There are 3 top line benefits to an organization: consumerism, risk diversification, and societal upliftment. Now, when I talk about societal upliftment, I came across a well-established annual report by an international university, which is supported and acknowledged by about 60 plus countries across the globe. And when I say supported by, is the governments of these countries support the research with data that they provide at a national level on more than 300 plus elements. And this has been going on for the last 30 plus years. So this report gets published every year for the last 30 plus years. And you'd be surprised to know that out of 60 plus countries that participate in this research, India currently stands at 40th position in terms of competitiveness globally. Now, 40th position out of 60 is more or less inching towards the bottom quartile. And why? So when you further deep dive into that report, you realize that one of the biggest pull factors that is pulling India down in the ranks is termed as the societal framework, which indicates inequalities in the society. Now, can you imagine, let's say, how a economy and a society will reap benefits if the organization embraces DEI? And these societal framework parameters on which we are scoring low globally there are 4 major callouts. One is the equal opportunity legislation in the economy that encourages economic development. So while we have laws, while we have statutes, while we promote cultures, we are not able to, let's say, absorb it in the essence of societal upliftment that is required. The male and female unemployment ratio rates are so high in our country. The societal framework illustrates the fact that there is so much of discrimination and there is so much of inequality at workplace. The male and female wage ratio, so the wage disparity, which has always been a reason for discussion in DEI forums, that's another element that has caused to pull down India's ranking in this global scale. So ideally, if organizations look at DEI, there are 3 major benefits: consumerism, risk diversification, and societal upliftment. And the benefits is the consumer base increases. They have a diversified and a talented pool of diversified individuals who are contributing to the organization's growth. All they need to do is apply a business process. So we at Alter Ego are promoting ISO 3415, the only global ISO standard that establishes DEI for individuals and organizations. So if you were to get certified on the program, you'd realize there are elements on which an organization should have a process. The process should get measured. The accountability of the process has to go from the board to the ESG reporting. And by virtue of that, not only do you embrace the legislations, but you also embrace the the hierarchy in the organization and the normal day-to-day operations in the organization to follow a laid process. So awareness, education, sensitization, all of that has to be continuous because people will come and go. But when they come in into your organization framework, a process that is established in your organization will ensure consistency of delivery without any undue pressures of time or of audit or of legislation, because you've embraced it as a part and parcel of, if I could draw an analogy, the assembly line in which your products will get manufactured. So DEI becomes an assembly line process which does not require extensive efforts, extensive let's say solutions. You just have to follow the business process and it becomes part and parcel of your DNA.
Absolutely, I think very well said, because it's a part and parcel of our routine that we should make DE and I. It's not only implementing those practices when you need something out of it. It's not give and take kind of a thing. Rather, it should form a part of your routine and your lifestyle, where you are encouraging everybody to be a part of your workforce. Thanks, Indraneel. Connecting to this question, Paresh sir, I have a question for you. So, as you specialize in DE&I implementation, could you share with us that what is the entire compliance framework with reference to DE&I? What the companies are supposed to follow? Is there any compliance framework for that matter, or it's just through the policies we implement, or through setting the tone at the top, or setting the right culture? How do we do that?
Thanks, Divya. Unfortunately, till date, there is no compliance framework which specifically says that you should have X percentage of people, though there is an act called as Equal Employment Opportunity Act, which is followed. And if you go to US and other countries, that law is very strictly adhered to because of the racial discrimination and other things. But in India, there is a law which says equal remuneration should be paid irrespective of the sex or gender, but it is not implemented to the core, especially when you hire people. It is seen that they always, if there are two candidates, they will give a preference to a male than anyone else. Because as an organization, you keep the interest in mind that, oh, this is a young, bright girl. I'm not talking of large organizations. Now their focus is shifted, but small and medium enterprises, which the numbers are large in terms of offering employment, there this discrimination is visibly seen. Like the girl is in the interview asked, what are your plans for getting married and having baby? Because at the back of the mind, the interviewer is thinking that, oh, then I will have to make some arrangement for the next 6 months on maternity leave, this, that. That's the ground reality.
Absolutely.
I'm not blaming anybody. So in terms of compliance framework, there is very limited thing which had gone. But the wage code which is coming in now, in the next 100 days, that is what the new government is setting the tone for that, may have certain things. And under the Companies Act, you being the CS, you also know that apart from Posh, there is no other compliance or any figures. It is given sumo moto on the organization that we have diversity inclusion. Companies law doesn't prescribe and describes that you have to have 33%. Like what is passed in the parliament, that you should have. There are women wards, like there can be certain positions which are reserved for either women or the community, where you know that yes, they can do a better job there. So unfortunately, we had not reached that stage. Neither our constitution, when it came up, it talks about equal opportunity, right of freedom and everything. But in terms of compliances, nowhere it is mentioned.
Right. And sir, just to check upon, like we talk about sustainable development goals, and in that, of course, diversity, equity, inclusion do form a part of those goals, right? So obviously, companies who want to go global, companies who want to get into listing, companies who want to be shown on some or the other platforms, for that matter, if they are opting diversity, equity, inclusion, in my experience, I have seen that that is again only a check the box approach, because ultimately they just want to be a part of that entire universe, right? So again, we will have to start from the scratch, start from setting the culture right, start from setting the tone right, and starting to understand various impact of various laws, because ultimately as of now we don't have the compliance framework. That is what I understand, but there are multiple laws that can have impact on the implementation of DE&I at your workplace, be it employment laws, labor laws, and the POSH, the Companies Act 2013, and SEBI, and whatsoever. I mean, we need to just look at all of those things holistically. I was just reiterating this so that the participants who are coming from the corporate background may understand that how this is to be framed and how this is to be complied with properly. And now my last question goes to Geeta ji. Geeta ji, according to you, how can we help organizations to shift their mindset when it comes to onboarding differently abled people and giving them a reasonable space to enter the mainstream? Now, as earlier you definitely told us that people are facing challenges, but there have been instances where differently abled people are successfully running their businesses, or they're successfully being a part of the organizations. So what's their ratio? And I mean, what sort of courage they need to, learn the entire process, or how you are handholding people for that matter, if you can throw light on that.
Okay. So I don't know how many in this audience have watched the movie Shrikant. So if you have watched that movie, 100% you would have come to know how a visually challenged person has proven that he's capable of running a company and create employment for so many people. Okay, so that is the first thing. Okay, I fully agree with Venkatesh when they said that they should not be forced to fight for their existence and their rights.
Mm-hmm.
This is true for all the kind of overall DEI. This is very critical. Nobody should be forced to fight for their existence and for their rights. That is what equality, equity, inclusion is all about. So what can be done? So first thing is this internal resistance. Okay, so I in fact, even before I go to this internal resistance part, I have on a lighter note, I would like to say something that school mein nahi padha to abhi padho. Okay, the first place where you should have studied about inclusion, diversity, equity should have been in the schools. Okay, yeah. So we are not serious about teaching that to our children, to our students. I have panelists on my panel wherein if a physically handicapped person is sitting next to you, a student is next to you, the parents tell usko chuna mat, you will also become disabled. Okay, so this is what is the mindset in schools. Okay, so the whole diversity, equity, inclusion should first start in schools. So that wahan nahi pade. So now you have to study when you join the organization. So this internal resistance that is there, that has to be overcome. That has to be overcome. And then once that happens, you will start accommodating every section, be it gender, be it differently able. You will start accommodating everyone. You will create a conducive workplace, a very conducive ecosystem wherein you will provide facilities for the abled and the differently abled, and the differently able get a chance to prove to them that I'm no less than you. We both are working together. We're not competing with each other. I'm not like this. You are not like this. Okay. So this whole thing can be explained and this can be done if the top management is sensitive. That will percolate down to the lowest level. Okay. The lowest part of the organization. I have coined a very interesting terminology, Divija. And I want to share, this is probably the first platform where I'm sharing this. Okay. I don't know whether it is correct or not, but then this is my terminology, and that is called inclusivity ombudsman. Okay. Now, what is inclusivity ombudsman? You have ombudsman in banks and all. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you have an inclusivity ombudsman in an organization, it is a win-win situation for the abled and the differently abled. See, we are all along talking about kaise differently abled ko include kiya jaye. Okay.
Bilkul.
But have we ever thought that in order to achieve inclusivity, in order to have a proper system working in an organization, first and foremost, address what are the mental blocks that an abled person is facing.
Right.
Okay. Unless that is not addressed, how can you achieve inclusion? You're focusing on differently abled all along. Aap inko include karo, you include them. But then the point is that if an inclusivity ombudsman is there, then suppose there is an able person who is not able to understand what should I say, what should I not say, what should I do, what should I not do, who to ask. So if there is an inclusivity ombudsman, this person can go and ask that person. So there is this differently able person. What he or she is doing or saying is something which I'm not able to understand. I don't know how to deal with them. Can you help me? So then that particular body can help this person, this abled person, to overcome it. Now, a differently abled is not, suppose the differently abled person is facing a problem, that person can also go to this inclusivity ombudsman and get the problem addressed. So if we have a body, a department, or an individual, I have called it inclusivity ombudsman, then what happens, that particular institution or the person will address both the abled and the differently able. This is one.
Correct.
Second thing is, I'm sure every panelist here will agree with this, that you cannot undermine the importance of sensitization. Okay. Now, sensitization again is very interesting. When we were in schools, did we like the teachers talking continuously? No. Do we like anyone preaching us? No. So same thing applies. So when we become adults, our tolerance goes even more down. We don't want to, we have our egos coming up. We do not want to accept. So how many people would even, so I'm sure Venkatesh will agree, how many people understand LGBTQ? How many people, even after being trained, taught, will still accept, will have 1,000 logics to give to not accept it? So the point is that nobody likes to be preached, nobody likes to be taught. So what we are doing, I will tell you what we are doing. Okay, so outside the workplace, in the society, we are doing events which where the differently abled are putting up performances. Now, we have used the medium of entertainment to showcase to the people, see, wow, what is it that they are doing? Okay, every person, we have done over 500 events in India, and all the events that we have done, we have had audience gasping, saying that, oh my God, they can do it. I can't even do this much. So that is outside the workplace. Okay. Now, inside the workplace, what do? We conduct transformational sessions. Now, again, this is not the typical preachy teaching session. So this is more of storytelling, activities, and we also throw in fun. We also throw in entertainment. So that what happens in this, the power of the differently abled is shown. So when the able people are shown something which will help them overcome their regressive mindsets, then what happens is that the whole process becomes easier. So whenever we have done this in Tally, we have done it in Royal Bank of Scotland, we have done it in Mahindra, we have done it. Trust me, Vijay, the organization came back and told us that this is one of the best ways of learning, So all we have to do is to identify interesting ways of highlighting what is our end goal? Inclusivity.
Correct.
Accepting diversity. Find out different ways. Why the standard old age methods, So that is what we do. Now, lastly, one more point that I would like to tell is, of course, our panelists have been talking about that there's no proper compliance system in place. And also, I would like to say that there's no legislation per se to implement DEI. Okay. Now, the thing is that, of course, like Divija, you said, there are so many acts and laws in place which can be used. But then why? Why can't we have a proper legislation? So, Hindi mein kahavat hai, laaton ke bhoot baaton se nahi mante. Okay. So, now you did sensitization, you did training, everything, and still if there are employees, there are workplaces who still do not understand, that is where you use the stick. Okay,
Yes.
so now
Right.
you use legislation, and the moment you use the legislation thing, people will start realizing, okay, there is some
Penal consequences coming in.
why this is being implemented forcibly. Okay, so this is why Baaton ki bhoot baaton se nahi manta.
Right.
These are the various ways, which is my suggestion, that these are sensitization, of course, then legislation has to be changed, and then of course we create a very conducive ecosystem so that we are creating an environment of DEI in the society. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Geeta ji. I think from the panelists, we have got quite insightful things. Like, for example, queer should be a part of IC, or inclusivity ombudsman, creating that inclusive environment. अभी तक ये concept हम लोग दिमाग में सोच रहे थे, लेकिन इन panelist के जरिए हमको पता चला कि actually workplaces पे इसको किस तरह से implement करना चाहिए. Plus, what interesting terminologies we can use just to engage people over the concept of DE&I or something of that sort, right? Because जैसे inclusivity ombudsman, अभी तक हमने सिर्फ ombudsman सुना हुआ है. We have never heard about this. लेकिन अगर हम ऐसी कोई चीज रखते हैं, या फिर भी if we put say people from LGBTQI plus a community into the as a part of IC or as a part of our some team in the organization, so कैसे हमें employees को engage करना है, कैसे उनको sensitize करना है, because they are coming from a very very sensitive background. उनके साथ कैसे बात करनी है, कैसे हमें उनके साथ पेश आना है, that is something which we are lacking at. We need to learn that. So first of all, inclusive workplace बनाने से पहले हमारा aim ये होना चाहिए कि हम लोग अपने आप को कैसे equip करें ताकि हम इनको और इनकी capability को handle कर सकते हैं. So that is what I understand from the entire discussion, and I am very very thankful that everybody you have agreed to join. I will now invite my professional director, co-director, Dr. Nivriti Mishra, to share a vote of thanks. Before that, I'll just let all the participants know कि आपके लिए participation certificate भी है. Thank you so much. आप end तक हम लोगों के साथ बने हुए हैं, and you people have actually made our day. We have started celebrating Pride Month, and as Venkatesh said कि Pride Month हम celebrate नहीं कर रहे, but एक dialogue हमने शुरू कर दिया है. We have started a thing, and now probably we are going to do wonders together. And let's all of us make a community together and do whatever best we can do for ourselves and for the people out there. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll now invite Dr. Nivriti to share her vote of thanks. Dr. Nivriti, over to you.
Thank you so much, Divija, and it was indeed an enlightening session. And in fact, as Geeta and Venkatesh, you've rightly pointed out, I personally work as a queer affirmative counselor, and I've been working with children with special needs for a very long time. So when I interact with them on one-to-one basis, I get goosebumps listening to the kind of experiences, the emotional traumas, that they are facing at the hand of society, at the hand of their own family. And, the society and the medical fraternity has really wronged both the LGBTQ community as well as the specially able people, right? There is a standard definition of normal, and if anything is not falling in that spectrum, it's abnormal. For a very long time in the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, it was, LGBTQ was a disorder, a mental disorder. So sad. Very recently only it has been removed. And talking about what Poshshala always does, we believe in working at very base level, and we believe in teaching our children. When we talk about harassment also, Divija and I always say we need to teach our sons and daughters. So similarly, like you pointed out, Geeta, I believe that it's at the elementary school level that we need to start changing these things. Look at our textbook. It talks about the body with, I have 2 hands, 2 legs, a mouth to speak. What about a person who doesn't have this? Or a male, I'm a boy and I'm a girl. Or a family structure also, which is being shown of 2 dad, one dad, 1 mom, which could be 2 dads also, right? Or 2 moms also. There are over 70 plus genders that are being identified today, and we are just talking about male, female, or other genders. So I believe a lot of conditioning needs to start happening at the grassroots level, at the school level only, and needs to be, people, children, we need to be taught the basic differences between gender and gender expression and gender identity and sexual orientation. People think it's all one and the same. So as a person who's been working with both these communities as well as a lot of women in the corporate place, I believe that this session today has given great insights to all of us here. And thank you so much, Geeta and Venkatesh, Indranil and Paresh for being here. And we look forward to more synergies with you. And we look forward to all of us being torchbearers to these whole ideologies that we have been vocalizing about. Thank you so much. Thank you to Team Welin. Thank you to Team Poshshala. Thank you to all the participants. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dr. Nivriti. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you, Geeta ji. Thank you, Venkatesh. Thank you, Paresh sir. Thank you, Indranil. Pleasure to have you all. And Indranil, today is again your big day. So very, very all the best to you. Yeah, you're launching your platform today. So
yeah, we are launching the ISO 3415 DNI certification program.
All the
Thank
best.
you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you so
so much.
much. Have a beautiful month ahead. Keep shining and looking forward to cross paths. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You
Bye-bye.
too.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.